Welcome to Football Scientific. I'm Aaron Sauter, and I'm joined by my guest host, Tyler the Tiger. Tyler the Tiger here, fired up, ready to be here, ready to go to American Athletic Conference, aka the American Conference. Soar the Eagle is a new mascot. Soar the Eagle for the American Conference. They're going on to bigger and better things. Yeah, is this 2003? No, it's not. It's not 2003. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Okay. All right, let's get the show going. Let's break it down. Let's break down the American Athletic Conference. Soar the Eagle. That's pretty good, Tyler. Okay, so yes, today we are breaking down the American Athletic Conference. At one time, this conference was considered to be part of the sixth power conference back when the Pac-12 was doing its thing, okay, and really was alive, and there was a Power 5, okay. You had the American Athletic Conference, and they were taking over. They were becoming the underdogs of choice, okay. Cincinnati was there. That's why I'm an American Conference fan. I was an American Conference fan. I'm a big Cincinnati fan. Go Bearcats. And they were there. And it really made the conference pretty cool, man. The Big East. How did the conference come about? Well, you had the Conference USA that broke free of the Metro Football Conference when everyone left, pretty much. These are the left behinds. These are the leftover pieces of all these conferences become the American. Okay, so first you had the Metro Football Conference. Boom. Florida State leaves. Georgia Tech leaves. Leaving Cincinnati, Louisville, Southern Miss, Memphis, and Houston sitting there going, what do we do next, y'all? Boom. Houston was part of Southwestern Conference. He got booted. Boop. The conference left without him. Boop. All right, so they all joined Conference USA. They're doing their thing. Conference USA did its thing. Added some basketball schools. Boom. At the same time, Conference USA was building up the Big East, which was a conference, in case you don't know. Miami, Syracuse, Boston College, Temple. They were over there doing their thing, lighting it up. Miami was the crown jewel of that conference, and then it fell apart. Okay, Miami left, Virginia Tech left, Syracuse left, Pitt left, they all went to the ACC. Okay, so that left behind the Big East Conference. And that are the left behind parts of the Conference USA. So everyone that was left behind became part of Conference USA. You had the left behind parts of the Big East, Rutgers, and teams like that, pieces that no one wanted to play for really. And they merged. Boom! They became the Big East. Okay, so Conference USA entered the Big East with Houston and everything, man. They didn't care. Okay, I think SMU jumped in there for a little bit. They were the Big East. Cincinnati adapted. They're finally part of what we call, the Power. That would have been a Power 7, I guess. Cincinnati was at the top for a minute. Okay, they went to an Orange Bowl. They got crushed by Florida, I think, with Brian Kelly as our head coach. Boom, American Conference. Okay, so what happened? Big East. Big East decides it wants to just become a basketball conference. Butler, Georgetown. Those Catholic private school types, other than Butler, who's just a regular private school type. They became the Big East Conference, just basketball. They took the name away, boop, leaving those teams that were in the Big East by themselves, and they formed the American Athletic Conference. So really, so the American Athletic Conference is an offshoot of the Metro Football League into Conference USA, mixed with the Big East. The Big East rips away a title, boop, and the American Athletic Conference is born. Boom. And that was with Louisville, Cincinnati, Rutgers, Memphis, Houston. They were Southern Miss. They were all in there having a great time. Okay, pretty cool conference. And then what happens, all this conference realignment happens. Okay, all this conference realignment happens, and teams start shooting out. Southern Miss joins Conference USA. They go back, maybe they stayed in Conference USA, I guess. I don't know. And then they became Sun Belt. They went a different way, so they have to travel as much. It comes down to travel, really, for a lot of these group of 6 conferences, okay? It comes down to travel. You don't want to be in a national conference if you're not making national football money, basketball money, whatever. The AAC, when Cincinnati was there, they had a really high top end. Cincinnati was good. Tulane was good. Tulsa was good. Houston was good. UCF was good. USF was decent, okay? You had a good top end, and you had the lower end. Temple was actually good in that conference, okay? So you had a lot of top end talent in the AAC, and then, another round of realignment happened, and more teams pushed up from the bottom to the top, and they became, Cincinnati joined the Big 12 with UCF and Houston, BYU. They're all in the Big 12, and they're in the Power 4, which was Cincinnati's goal the whole time. They kept getting left behind by teams like Louisville, who joined the ACC, from the AAC. And they're just trying to stay in the big money part of football, okay? They're trying to stay. Cincinnati views itself as a major program. No one else does, but they do. The Bearcats fans, I used to be a season ticket. I'm a big Bearcats fan. We view ourselves as being a top level of football. We all know we have a lot to strive for. But, okay, so, I digress. So, then the AAC, missing a bunch of teams, had to make a choice. Do we dissolve? So do the leftover parts become leftover parts again? Do we dissolve into the MAC, Conference USA, Sun Belt? Do we just fall apart? Or do we extract as many teams from those conferences as we can to build a better conference, to rebuild our conference? And that's what they've done. They've added a bunch of teams from Conference USA, Sun Belt. They pushed up basically some of these new FBS teams from FCS. And they pushed up. But right now, because of the migration of some of the top teams into the Power 4, they've fallen behind the Mountain West Conference, okay? I would say they're behind when the Pac-2 right now, still called the Pac-12, they're getting rebuilt. By name, they're better than the AAC. They have Oregon State and Washington State, which are really good teams. Relevant to Group of 5, Group of 6 teams, okay? Not so good compared to the Power 4, but Group of 6, they're still pretty good. So I put them behind the Pac-2 right now. I got American Conference as the third best conference in the Group of 6, okay, which is sad to say because they used to be the top. They used to be the best. Mountain West seems to be the best, at least for this year. They're about to lose a bunch of teams to the Pac-12, so we're still seeing a bunch of shuffling pieces, okay? So, how's it going down? Well, we're not focusing on the feature. I see some videos about people talking about alignment and stuff. There's probably better ways to get a better conference. You could pick up Ohio University if you're the AAC. That'd be a perfect geographical fit for the AAC, okay? You could have picked up Northern Illinois and moved them in. Perfect geographical fit. I guess they didn't want to do that. And they got shot down a few times. Memphis tried to buy their way into the Big 12. They really don't want to be left out of the party. They want to be in the Big 12. They offered $200 million to the Big 12 to accept them, and they got turned down. So AAC, the American Conference, Slaughter Eagle, is still kind of the leftover parts of the Group of 6. When everyone picks their teams, these are the teams left out. Now, are they a good conference? I believe so. It's changed so much over the years, it's hard to say, okay? But they have a pretty interesting group of teams, and I think like the MAC, Ohio and Toledo can play with anybody, okay? Like the Sun Belt, Liberty and Western Kentucky can play with anybody, okay? Like Conference USA, that's probably where Liberty's at, I guess, I don't know. Like the Sun Belt, okay, you got a few teams that are pretty awesome, and they can play with anybody, okay? But then you have a steep decline, okay? One thing I noticed in the Sun Belt, though, is the decline was not as steep as I expected, okay? It was not as steep when I went through that league. It's been a while since I really paid attention to college football like closely. The Football Scientific Show brought me back to college football because I found it kind of annoying. I find the national championship to be fake, man. This is not a real national championship. This is not a legit league. It's the worst pro football league around because it's not fair to everyone. But whatever. I'm kind of getting back into it with the Football Scientific going college football. I used to love college football, But then I kind of just focused on Cincinnati because I found the rest of the stuff annoying. Okay? All right, so let's go through the conference. Let's go through our power rankings and see how it looks, and then we'll go back and talk about how this thing will finish up. Okay? All right, so first, there's 14 teams in the current American Conference with Soar the Eagle leading the way. Number 14, I got the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Tulsa's been a competitive team in the American Conference, okay? So why do I have them at number 14? Well, they have a quarterback coming back, Kirk France, and he's coming back, so that's a good sign for our offense. They have wide receiver Zion Booker transferring in, okay? But they're pretty much replacing everyone else, okay? They have very few experienced players, so they're in rebuild mode. If you want to talk pro football, there's 4 modes in professional football. You have rebuild mode, you have build up mode, you have win it all, go for it mode, and you have tear down mode. Okay, those are the 4 modes of program building. And Tulsa is currently entering a rebuild. Okay, rebuild. They should have a decent offense. They've always kind of had a decent offense and very little defense, but now they have very few experienced players coming back. So it just comes down to how quickly can they adapt. Probably a down year. Next year they'll probably be pretty good. Okay, I have the Tulsa Golden Hurricane going 2-6 in the AAC and 3-9 overall. Definitely a down year. I think that if they can keep their players, the key is to keep your players for another year. In the second year, they'll be better. Okay, number 13, Charlotte 49ers. UNC Charlotte 49ers. Okay, relatively new team to the FBS. They're working their way up. They've had a few high points, but their coaches keep leaving. They left the FCS. Okay, I don't know how you go from Charlotte, who's in the FBS, to the FCS, but it comes down to money. So, or winning, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know why you would go from the FBS back to the FCS, unless you're just not very good. Charlotte 49ers. I remember at a coaching clinic this year, we went and saw. I think East Tennessee State's coach used to be the coach at Charlotte, and he had said they had some down years, and he got put up. Boom. So Charlotte 49ers current team, they have a lot of the skills players coming back. They should be good at skills players, running back, wide receivers, quarterback. They got wide receiver Jaden McGowan transferring in. Okay, but here's the problem: they pretty much they're all new on the offensive line, defensive line. They really don't have any alignment, and that's going to get you beat. It's going to make it hard to compete on a week-to-week basis. It's a total rebuild along the line of scrimmage for the Charlotte 49ers. And here's the bad thing, okay? They got good skills, and they have bad linemen, okay? You go to recruit the linemen, and by this time, you're probably going to lose all the skills guys. That's going to be chasing your tail. And that's probably you get into in the current age of college football, is you end up chasing your tail if you have one or the other. You need to have a balance, okay? Number 12, sad to see the Temple Owls back to the bottom of the league. For a little while, they climbed to the top, okay? So they came in, and they had the dude that's now Nebraska's head coach, before he went to the Panthers and Baylor and blah, blah, blah. They were doing really well. They were almost a contender to be in the national playoffs, okay? They played Notre Dame on a Halloween night. I remember that game well. It was a big-time game on NBC. Temple Owls, you very rarely see Temple Owls being spotlighted, okay? I remember as a child, they got beat horribly all the time, especially by Miami. I remember Miami scoring a touchdown at Temple Owls, and then they did a backflip, and then the old dude did a backflip back at him. I was like, what? This is getting crazy, man. Temple Owls, always wanted to go for them because I like the underdog. And Temple Owls are definitely the underdog. But for a little while, they climbed up to the top of the league. And they're doing some things, okay? But right now, they're kind of back to the bottom. They got a new head coach, Casey Keeley. Boom. He's starting to rebuild, trying to rebuild. Temple, they're in rebuild mode right now. People said they should kill the guy. People have been saying for years Temple should kill the team. But here's the thing. I don't think so, man. They just keep hanging on. Keep hanging on. Their basketball's good. Keep hanging on. They'll have their turn again. Boom. Quarterback Giovanni McCoy has transferred in. Here's the problem with Temple. Okay. Everyone keeps changing around them. They don't have a lot of experience. If you're Temple, it's hard to keep people there. You're in Philadelphia, which is not a fun town to be in. A lot of shooting and stuff like that, you know. They've been 3-9, 4 years in a row. They're stuck in a rut. They got a new head coach. He's going to get them out of the rut. Now, the problem is they get them out of the rut, and then he will bail. And that's what teams do out of Temple is they get them out of the rut, and instead of finishing a job, they bail and go get money. Okay, that's what players are doing too. They're helping build up, and when they reach a little something, they bail and get out. Why? Because Philadelphia is not a fun place to live, y'all. No offense, Philadelphia. Eagles suck. Okay. Number 11, UAB. Okay, UAB. I saw Trent Dilfer crying about how he's losing all his players, and which is ironic because when he coached in Tennessee, he coached high school in Tennessee, his team got banned from the playoffs. Lipscomb Academy got banned from the playoffs because of illegal recruiting. So the fact he's at UAB and losing a bunch of his players and people illegally recruiting him, that is karma, man. That is karma. And Trent Dilfer, his whole life has been a lie. You know, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Kinda. He was the worst quarterback in the league that played on a team with the best defense and some of the best receivers. Shannon Sharp made some good plays for him. Trent Dilfer was never very good at football. And he wanted to make this thing where he's the quarterback guru and he's at Lipscomb Academy. They illegally recruited so they could win. And then he got caught, so he bailed and went to the UAB. And now they're getting illegally recruited against them, which is the karma going back. Trent Dilfer's just an idiot, man. He's kind of a douchey guy. So that's the thing. At UAB, I like UAB. They have a good stadium. It's fun to get out to the UAB area in Birmingham and watch a game. Not good to stay in UAB. I mean, I can see why people leave. It's kind of like Philadelphia, man. People leave Birmingham all the time. Why? Because it's rough. It's rough. It's not a fun city. You go to Atlanta, it's a fun city. It's a little rough at times, but a fun city downtown. Birmingham, I don't even know where downtown's at. You go in there and you're like, where is downtown? Where's the cool stuff? There's no cool stuff in Birmingham, okay? It's just a place you go somewhere else. That's the thing about Birmingham. It's a place you go through. And that's what people are doing. Trent Dilfer's trying to make it his home just because he sucks. Okay? All right. No offense to UAB, but your head coach is a douche, man. Good news. Quarterback Jalen Kitna. Yeah, I think John Kitna's son or whatever. I like John Kitna. He used to play for the Bengals. He's coming back for a second year, which is surprising because Trent Dilfer's still there. Last year, he threw for 2,205 yards and 17 touchdowns. Playing in 8 games. He's coming back, so that's good for them. I'd like to see UAB be good again. Defensive end, Jermichael Rogan. Okay, he's there. They got some pass rush going on. Trent Dilfer's on the hot seat. Let's see Trent Dilfer get fired, man. I don't want to call people's job, but I want to see Trent Dilfer get fired. I got UAB going 3-5 in the AAC, and I got to go 4-8 overall. Garbage can. Just get Trent Dilfer fired, okay? And then you can become good again. In case I didn't go over, I did a lot of rambling about Temple, but I didn't mention I think they're going to be 2-6 in AAC and 4-8 overall. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I got Temple 2-6, 4-8 overall. I got UAB 3-5 in AAC, 4-8 overall. Okay. Just some rough places to live, man. I think Tulsa's probably the nicest of all those. I've heard Charlotte's kind of shady too. Okay, all right, not in a good way. Number 10, Florida Atlantic Owls. Okay, so it's not Florida National with Pitbull, it's Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic Owls, they've been good at times. I think that's where Lane Kiffin hung out for a couple of years after getting tired of being made fun of by Nick Saban at Alabama as their OC. He went to Florida Atlantic, helped turn them around, almost turn them around, and then bailed, which is what? It's pretty common, man, pretty common, okay. Florida Atlantic. Boom. Right now, good news is they got quarterback Caden Veltkamp from Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky, explosive offense. Florida Atlantic should have a pretty good offense, but they have very few returning veterans. So, it's going to be a tough year for them. But they got a good quarterback. If they can get something going, they get a few upsets. They might be pretty good. But I got to go 4-8, 3-5 in the AAC, 4-8 overall. Not making a bowl game, but they do have a new quarterback from an explosive offense previously. If he can be a positive influence, they may turn that around. I don't think this is the year, though. Number 9, Rice Owls. Smart Kid School, okay, in Texas, which is rare for a smart kid school to be in Texas, okay. No offense to Texas, but it's just not. Have you ever been to Texas? It's just not a lot of. It's not screaming intelligence there. Okay, no offense. I just don't see a lot of people screaming intelligence in Texas. But Rice Owls are a smart kid school there. Boom, they have a new head coach, Greg Abel. Once again, when you get good at Rice, you bail. That's what you do. As you're a coach, you get good at Rice and then you bail. Okay? And you'll find a better job because no one wants to be at Rice. Okay? Even Rice people don't want to be at Rice. Even Rice, the food, doesn't want to be at Rice. Okay? It wants to be called Oats. It wants to get out. Okay? But head coach Greg Abel's there. He's known for having a strong running game. They are known for being an option team. Smart kid school, option football tends to go together. They have quarterback Chase Jenkins. Okay, he's transferred in. Basically, like everyone else, they have lost a large number of starters because if you're a real dialed-in football player, Rice probably isn't for you. You want to go there, play football, enjoy yourself. But you got to go to classes. You got to make A's on tests. It's a smart kid school, man. You got to be a smart kid to go there. And no offense to me, I play college football. I got degrees in science degrees, chemistry, physics. I teach science. I'm into it. Okay, I would say I was a pretty above average student. But if you're gonna go to Rice and you're not into it, academically, you're not gonna last long there. Okay, so you just leave. You get good and you leave. Okay, number 8, North Texas. Did I say they're gonna go 3? I didn't say it. Rice is going to go 3-5 in the AAC and 4-8 overall. No bowl game. Okay, number 8, North Texas. The Mean Green, the Eagles. Okay, boom. This is a big jump because they're actually pretty good, man. They've been in flux a lot, though. They're very picky about it. They intentionally want to build their football program up, which is good to see. And they have been pretty good at times. But they keep moving up conferences. So they're a climber. Okay, they're definitely a climber, and they are going to be a better team here in this conference. So North Texas, Mean Green, they got Miami quarterback Reese Poffenberger, who got replaced by the dude from Georgia, Carson Beck, I guess. And they got linebacker Kenton Allen. He came in. Their defense last year got 34.2 points a game. So they scored a lot of points. North Texas has an explosive offense, but they gave up 34.2 points. They didn't play much defense, okay? So with that in mind, I got North Texas going 4-4 in the AAC, and I got the total wins being 7-5. I think they'll be competitive just because they have explosive offense, but they don't get that defense fixed. It's going to be a mess. But they do have linebacker Kenton Allen, so they're trying. They're trying to get the defense better. But they're an offensive team for the most part. AAC 4-4, total 7-5. I have them being a strong bowl team. Okay, out of the AAC. East Carolina Pirates, okay, upset North Carolina State last year in a bowl game. That's a huge win by them. They're always upsetting teams in North Carolina. So East Carolina, a team that I've always tried to like, but just can't. I don't know. They always have shady players, like the dudes that shot at somebody, shot some guns off outside their dorms a few weeks ago. There's some shady things going on in East Carolina. Okay, I always thought it was weird back in the day. East Carolina, where's that at? I don't know. They're the Pirates, though. I like their uniforms. I like their logo. It's pretty cool. Okay, I just never felt good about them. Good news. They have quarterback Caton Hauser, and they have wide receiver Anthony Smart. They should have a good offense. They should be very similar to North Texas. Looking at a good offense. Defensive back Jordy Lowry joined in there. Boom. Explosive offense. Defense will need to get better. Last year, they had 27.2 points per game, which is much better than North Texas, but they lost a bunch of players. So once again, if you're East Carolina and you're good, you're going to bail. And that's what's happened there. The defense bailed. So now you got to replace all those guys, and it's just hit and miss about if you can actually do that or not. Okay, they're number 7. 4-4, 6-6. Okay, number 6. UTSA Roadrunners. This team is built up quickly, man. University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners. They have reason they've built up quickly is they have an explosive offense. They have committed to having a great offense, which makes them appealing for fans. It makes them appealing for TV. Okay, so they have a pretty good offense. Quarterback Owen McCown is going to be there. McCown's a famous name in Texas for college football. Several McCowns have become NFL quarterbacks, little backup quarterbacks. Linebacker Shad Barkus Jr. is there. He transferred in. Okay, The defense is got to get better. It's rebuilding, okay? Just like everyone else in the AAC, the good teams. UTSA, explosive offense. Defense is in a process of being rebuilt, okay? How quickly they can rebuild that offense or defense is going to be a contributor to how good they can be. I think it'll be fairly quick. And I think UTSA Roadrunners are going to go 5-3 in the AAC and 7-5 overall. And if you can win 2 more games, they might be a contender to win the AAC. Number 5, South Florida Bulls. Boom, let's go Bulls. Lucky the Bull. I've always kind of liked the Bulls. We back in the day, me and Fan used to go to Birmingham Bowl, and we would watch South Florida. Then we watched South Florida like 4 years in a row in the Birmingham Bowl. Not a good sign for South Florida, but it was still fun to watch. A very good team to watch. South Florida, they are deep at quarterback. Okay, they got Byron Brown, they got Bryce Archie, they got a lot of quarterbacks on the roster. They're trying to become an explosive offense. So they're trying to put the AAC model explosive offense, limit the defense. And that's what the AAC has been known for. And that's kind of why I like him, I guess. I like explosive offense and limit the defense. Okay, running back Cartavius Nadon. Okay, he's there. He transferred in, so they should have some running game. Should have some balance on offense. Boom. Their defense tends to be suspect, like everyone else in the AAC, and they're not good against the top quality teams. So South Florida has the unpleasant distinction of being better than the bad teams, but not as good as the good teams in terms of talent. And they run a scheme that's talent-based. So if they're more talented, they're going to beat you. If they're less talented, they're going to lose. They're not a giant killer. They're just a bottom feeder killer. Okay? With that in mind, you should have a decent time in the AAC. There's lots of bottom feeders in the AAC. You got 5. I said I'm going 5-3 in the AAC and 6-6 overall. And I think their location makes them appealing to go to a bowl game. Okay. All right, number 4, Army Black Knights last year had a breakout year. Quarterback Bryson Daly had a big year. It was an AAC Offensive Player of the Year. They lost to the good teams. They lost to Notre Dame, really. They bulked up with some low-end wins. They were going to have a chance to make the national playoffs, which is cool. They got beat by Notre Dame and crumbled. But, I mean, that's really good for Army, man. That's good for Army. So, what do they have going on? They have probably the top defense in the AAC. Last year they averaged 15.5 points per game. So they're built the opposite way from everyone else in the AAC, mostly everyone else. So they're built around a strong defense and a powerful running game. You know, traditional Army stuff. Right tackle Teddy Williams is coming back. He's transferred in, sorry. So it's rare to have someone transfer into the Army Academy. But they got someone there. He's a new face. Blowing it up. Okay, so they should have a really sound offensive line. They should have a really sound defense. So what's the limiting factor losing Bryson Daly at quarterback? Is he a generational guy, or is he someone they can replace? I think he's someone they can replace. I think they're going to be very good. I think Army Black Knights this year are going to go 6-3 in the AAC and 8-4 overall and definitely go to a bowl game. Okay, number 3, Memphis Tigers came by their way into the Big 12. It must be pretty bad. Nope, they're not pretty bad. I don't know, they're just not appealing. I guess people saw in Memphis. I've been to Memphis. I can see why. But, you know, they tried to buy their way into the Big 12, $200 million. Rather than getting paid, they wanted to pay their way in so they could join up with the other AAC teams from the past, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston. They fit that mode real well. But the Big 12 was like, no, we don't really need your money. Everyone needs your money. But Big 12 says, no. You're going to hurt our product, which is weird. Okay, this is weird. I don't know. If I was Memphis, I'd be real confused because their basketball is pretty good. Boo. So, good news. They got transfer wide receiver from Purdue, CJ Smith, I think, or something. Is one of the better receivers at Purdue. Purdue has got, you know, we're talking about the Big Ten later. But he should be a star for Memphis. He should be a big-time player. They got quarterback Brendan Lewis coming in, so they should be sound in offense. But they lost all AAC quarterback Seth Hennigan. He went to Oregon, so they're just an in-between school right now. Basically, Seth Hennigan blew it up. Boom, he went to Oregon, and now Brendan Lewis steps in. It's like, I'll take over and blow it up. Maybe. Doesn't matter. No one wants Memphis. That's sad. They're the left behind part. I got Memphis going 6-3 in the AAC, and I got them going 8-4 overall. Solid year. Nothing groundbreaking or world shaking, but you know how it goes. Okay, number 2. This is not a popular call because a lot of people have this team as the best team in the AAC, but a Navy midshipman, okay, Naval Academy, okay. What do they have? They have what you expect a good academy school to have, okay. And they're an academy school, you know, full out academy. You're going to be in the Navy when you leave there. But they have good news. They have quarterback Blake Horvath coming back, who helped them average 31.3 points per game last year. That's a lot of points for academy, okay. They also gained safety Aaron Rose. He's transferring in. But they do have a bit of a rebuild defensively. They have 6 starters returning. So that means they have to replace 6 starters. They have a lot of them returning except for 6 starters. They should be solid. They're based on the running game. You got to stay in front of the chains. You got to play some option football. You got to play decent defense. Defensively, they usually play a drop 8, 3, 4. They're keeping the game in front of them. They want to pick ball. They probably want to play with discipline. They're playing with discipline. And that makes sense for Navy to play with discipline. I remember my grandmother used to say, Navy should beat everyone. They should be the most disciplined. But then they don't because they're the least talented. But they do compete because they're disciplined. Okay. Finally, my number 1 team in the AAC is Tulane, the Green Wave. Why are they the top team? Because they got the most talent coming back. Okay, so first they have for first team All AAC offensive lineman, offensive tackle Derek Graham, and offensive guard Shadre Hunt returning. So a good offensive line is going to help them run the ball, and they are an option team. They're a gun option team. They're going to come out there and sling the ball, RPO, play action over the top. Very similar to the rest of the group of 6. Defensive tackle Santana Hopper is there. You're going to have a little bit more energy on defense. All AACC running back Mekhi Hughes transferred to Oregon. Oregon's building up on these AAC teams. So Tulane is getting a really good quarterback, I've heard. Good quarterback. This is recent. Good quarterback is transferring in from the Big 12. I forget where he's coming from. He's transferring to Big 12. He's trying to take control. He's trying to blow it up. So based on that, I have Tulane as the top team in the AAC. I currently have them going 6-2 in the AAC and total 9-3. But with this quarterback, I could see them going 7-1, maybe 8-0. Okay, they've went to a big bowl game for it. They broke through to a big bowl game, not a playoff game, but a big bowl game, and they won that game against USC, I believe. Remember that? Remember they upset USC. This could be another year where they blow it up, and they are potentially. This is my first team I have potentially looking at. If they can get really 2 more wins, they could be the group of 6 representative in the college football playoff, Tulane Green Wave, which would be huge for them because they're a smart kid school. So you usually wouldn't see them in those types of things. But they're right on the verge of that, and that's pretty cool for Tulane. Okay, I got them going 6-2 in the AAC, 9-3 overall, but I could see them with the new quarterback going 7-1 in the AAC. I could see them going 10-3, 10-2, 11-1. Okay, if they go 11-1, they got a chance to go to the playoffs. Okay, all right. So then, that's 1 and 2. I have them playing an AAC championship game. A lot of people have them playing an AAC championship game, and they have Navy winning that game. But I'm going to say Tulane is going to score points. They're going to score points and pound the rock against Navy, and that's what you got to do to beat that defense. They're a drop 8 defense, guys. They're not going to bring a lot of heat. They're hoping you make mistakes. So if you can run your option game against them, you can run your RPOs. You can get there's going to be a lot of open space to get the ball there. If you don't make mistakes and you don't get penalties, they will beat Navy. Okay, Navy's going to live off your mistakes. Okay, they won't make a lot of mistakes, but they're going to live off your mistakes. And Tulane should be good enough to not make that many mistakes. So I have them beating Navy in the championship game and winning the American Athletic Conference, Tulane University, the Green Wave, and they could potentially be the first team that I've thought about going to the college football playoff. One team's going to go as group of 6, and I think they might be it. They might be the Cincinnati of past years that went to the Cotton Bowl. Okay, so I got Tulane winning the conference. So with that in mind, here's how it's looking overall. AAC, solid conference, top heavy, like the rest of the group of 6. But I think here they have like 8 good teams out of 14. 8 good teams, so it's not as much top heavy like the MAC. The MAC's super top heavy. Top 2 teams are the 2 best teams. Okay, everyone else after that's kind of average. Boom. Then you got like Conference USA. Top 2 teams, really good. Everyone else kind of average. Okay, and then you got Sun Belt Conference. Top 2 teams, awesome. Everyone else kind of average. Here in the AAC, this is what sets them apart. This is what makes them a better conference than those conferences. They got like 8 good teams. 8 good teams that can upset anyone. They can go out there and beat anybody. And then they got 6 teams that are kind of on the build. They're rebuilding, okay? They're cycled through. So, I think they're pretty good. I think they have a chance. In my mind right now, they're the 3rd best group of 6 team. They're better than those other 3, but not as good as the Pac-2 would probably beat them, 6 times out of 10. Okay? Beat their best teams. I think Mountain West is poised this year to be the best group of 6 conference. Oh, I hope it's not Boise again. They're just really boring to see Boise go lose playoff games. So I don't know. But let's look at the bowl situation for the AAC. So they are bowl rich. Okay, they're a popular conference to get the bowl games. First for the Fenway Bowl. This would be, in my mind, that's the best bowl game. I thought about it. That's the best bowl game. So if I'm Tulane and I won the conference and I'm not going to the college football playoff, I'm going to go to the Fenway Bowl. Okay, that looks like the most fun trip in Boston. Okay, and they play somebody. I don't know, someone from the ACC. They would beat them. I think they would beat whoever they play there. Military Bowl, they could be in the college football playoff though. Military Bowl, I got Army going there. It makes sense. Army is right there. It's not in Maryland where that bowl game is played. It's not played at Navy. It is played at Navy. So they're not Navy. So I think they'd be a good team to go there. But they might not just because it's Navy. They might not want to go there. Armed Forces Bowl is Navy. Okay, I think it makes sense having to go to the Armed Forces Bowl. They should be a good team. And that's in Dallas. That way they're not, they actually get to go on a trip. If you're an academy, you don't want your team to play at home in a bowl game. I think that would be lame. Okay, so boom. And then there's a bunch of conferences they're tied to, but they can only fill 40 spots. Okay, so we got Birmingham Bowl, Boca Raton Bowl, Kira Bowl, First Responder Bowl, Gasparilla Bowl, Myrtle Beach Bowl, and New Mexico Bowl. And I basically placed, assuming Tulane does not make the college football playoff, I have Birmingham Bowl with Memphis. It makes sense. They'll get people coming to Memphis. I got Boca Raton Bowl with South Florida, although South Florida loves going to the Birmingham Bowl. And they usually get a pretty good turnout. But I think they'd be a better turnout to Boca Raton Bowl down in South Florida or South Florida. It makes sense, okay? It makes sense for their fan base, all right? It helped build your fan base in South Florida. They're in Tampa. They're not really even close to Boca Raton, but it would make sense for them to go there. I got UTSA going to the First Responder Bowl. I believe that bowl's in Texas somewhere. And I got North Texas going to New Mexico Bowl just because North Texas is down that way. They might have some fan base, and I think they'll be in a bowl game. And I think they'll go to the New Mexico Bowl. And then it could fill in the Cure Bowl with like East Carolina. They could fill in the Gasparilla Bowl with somebody, Myrtle Beach. I think they'll run out of bowl teams, but they could fill in. If Tulane goes to the college football playoff, how do I have this going? Then I have Army going to I have them moving up. So I got Army going to the Fenway Bowl. I got Navy playing the home game at the Military Bowl. I got Memphis playing in the Armed Forces Bowl. I got South Florida going to the Birmingham Bowl. I got UTSA still going to the First Responders Bowl. I think it's in Texas somewhere. I still got New Mexico Bowl having North Texas, and then I have East Carolina going to the Kier Bowl, and that's where they played there last year and beat North Carolina State. And I suspect they were a better team last year, but they could get back there, and they had success there. So I think they'd be appealing to bring back to the Kier Bowl. So that if Tulane gets into the National College Playoffs, I think they might. They have a pretty good chance to do that. Then you would see East Carolina and the Cure Bowl. And that would cash in, man. That would be a good turnout for the AAC. So, solid conference. Not as good as they used to be, but who is in the group of 6? Everyone in the group of 6 is getting stripped down by the growth of the Power 4. So, that's just the reality of life. Economics, man. People are paying more at the top end, so the best teams are going to go there and leaving about the bottom end. Same with the players. Your best players are constantly going to leave. You'll get the trash from the other teams and make them great. If you're an AAC team, your focus needs to be, and Trent Dilfer needs to listen to this, your focus needs to be taking other people's trash and making it great. Okay? Trent Dilfer doesn't know how to do anything. He's dumb. Okay? Let's just say it. Trent Dilfer's an idiot. Okay? So, what did he do in pro football? He said he was awesome, and then he stank. He was bad. He went to Baltimore where the team was good, and he just didn't screw it up, and they won a Super Bowl. Okay? I'm sure he's pretty hyped about that. He probably shows the ring everywhere. Okay? I got some rings I could show, but I'm not going to do that. But I'm sure he shows the ring everywhere. I won a Super Bowl. And then he had that quarterback thing, quarterback ranking system, blah, blah, blah. I read his book. It's just garbage, man. Garbage. Trent Dilfer is a garbage guy. And then he went to Lipscomb Academy, and they blew it up. They didn't win state. I think they lost to Macaulay and Baylor. But they recruited illegally, and they got caught, and they got banned from the playoffs. Okay? So then he left there, because in his mind, he's a climber. Okay? So he went to UAB after Coach Clark, who was probably a really good coach. Coach Clark was a really good coach. That's when UAB was good. And that guy knew what he was doing. I went to their conference a couple times, coaching clinic, whatever. He's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. He built up USA. He built up UAB. He saved UAB's program. Okay, so he knew what he was doing. They brought in Trent Dilfer, a name, and he's trying to recruit the best people, which he does get them sometimes. But then they immediately leave when they show they're pretty good. Okay, so then he's left getting ripped. His roster's always getting turned over. Okay, so that's why he's sad. I could never get to know these guys. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Shut up. No one wants to know you, Trent Dilfer. No one wants to know you, okay? So here's what he needs to do. He needs to realize that he has to take, he's not the top dog. UAB is not the top dog. No offense. They're not the top dog, okay? UAB is not the top dog. So you're going to go through, you got to pick up everyone's trash. And that's what the AAC is born on, man. They're born on picking up everyone's trash. Memphis came, by the way, into the Big 12, but they might go national playoff if they win all their games. Okay, they're built on being the trash can of college football. That's not a diss. Okay, that's what you have. The topping gets they buy everyone, boop, but most of them are garbage still, boop. So the garbage filters out, boop. If you can pick up that garbage, you can win a bunch of games with those players that no one believed in, with those big money dudes. Okay, if you can coach, if you can actually coach, if you know what you're doing, you can turn that into a squad, man, and win something big. That's what Cincinnati was based on with Luke Fickell there. They were based on taking that trash and making it great, and it worked out. Okay, boo, UAB. That's where you got to be mentally, man. You got to be there mentally. Trent Dilfer is not the guy. He's a front runner. He's only good when the teams around him are good. He's bringing a bunch of NFL guys to be his coaching staff. It's not going to work. No one wants to get yelled at by a former NFL. That's the thing, former NFL guys. They're going to cuss you out all day, and that's not going to help build player relationships. Okay, they're going to cuss you out all the time. So you got to get used to it. And they're like, well, we're preparing you to play in the NFL. No, you're preparing you to transfer to a different conference. Okay, and that's what you got. If you're an AAC, you need to be welcoming. Welcoming. Hey, we'll take whoever you got and we'll make you great. Okay? I spent a lot of time coaching in inner city schools. And we didn't push people away. We didn't cuss you out. We didn't make you want to leave. Everyone wanted to leave already. We wanted you to stay. If you came to the inner city to play some football, we wanted you to stay. Okay? We're going to treat you really well. It's going to be a really high level experience for players. Warren Central, okay, not hardcore inner city, but kind of inner city, 50% inner city. They give you a high quality experience. One state there in 2018, high quality experience. It's going to feel like a professional level of football because they want to keep their players. Okay, they're attracting other people's trash. They want to keep their players, and a bunch of the Warren Central players go to the NFL. Okay, eventually go to the NFL. Why? Because they're taking trash and making it into something. Boom. That's how you become a great program. Okay, Alabama does that. Alabama does. They recruit the best. Blah blah blah. SEC, it's annoying. Power 4 is annoying, man. SEC, Big Ten, I've always been annoyed by it. They're very boring to me. The style of football is fake NFL. Okay, but the under conferences have inspired me as a person. I'm inspired by the fact you can take a low income, you can take random pieces, and you can put them together and make them into something awesome. That's real coaching. That you're doing the thing. You're doing it. And I find that appealing. Okay, that's what I love to do personally as a coach. I came from that background. I was not a ritzy person. I had to make my way. I had to grind it out. I had to make it work. I had to work harder than everyone else to survive. And eventually, you win by surviving. You win by surviving. And that's what AAC is about, man. It's a chance for those players who are supposed to be awesome, who ended up being average, come down to us. As a team, we'll be awesome. Okay? As a team. You may still go to the league, guys. You'll probably still go to the league. You're playing good football in the AAC. But the teams need to change their focus from trying to buy the best players. You're not going to afford that, man. You don't have that TV contract. You're not getting the resources. Take everyone's trash and make it great. That's why college football should not split into the pro league and the lower league. Because the fun part about college football is I can be Ohio University. I can be in AAC Tulane. And I can go beat LSU. Am I going to beat LSU? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. LSU's got all the money. But they could. They could beat them. And that'd be awesome. Okay, that's awesome when that happens. That's the best part of college football. And when you level it all off, you lose the best part. Okay? So, to me, that's the best part of the AAC. Is you have teams like East Carolina who can go knock off anybody. In a given day, they can knock off anybody. It gives you a great parity. Are they going to knock off anybody every week? No. That's why it makes it special when they do knock somebody off. Okay? They knock somebody off, it makes it special because you're like, boom, they just beat UNC with Bill Belichick. I can see that. Boom. That's coming. If UNC is willing to play them. I can see them beating UNC. Okay? Bill Belichick crying at the podium with his girlfriend patting his head. I mean, Bill, you're so old, bro. Okay? But whatever. That's my AAC preview. If you watch all the way to this point, you're probably doing pretty well. We're one subscriber away from 100 subscribers. I've been watching these Reddits on how to be a YouTuber. Blah, 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 blah. Edit this, edit that. I don't do that, man. This is old school. Okay, we're not trying to be ESPN. You want ESPN, go pay the cable company. You want ESPN, go pay YouTube. I don't want ESPN. ESPN is garbage. It's what MTV turned into, man. They lost the music, they lost the edginess, and now they got crappy shows for the brain drain, and then everyone watches it and they get dumber. Okay, that's what ESPN's become too. Everyone watches it and becomes dumber, and all you hear is the woke stuff and blah 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 blah. Who cares? Make your own way, grind it out. ESPN became the SEC and Big Ten, and it's boring. Fox Sports is boring. Boo, we're grinding this thing out. If you want me to go into more detail on these things, let me know on chat. Hey, chat. I see some people chatting with me. I see some people making some comments. Say, hey, I want to see you do this. What you don't know about me, I just seem to be a crazy guy ranting about football. 30-something years as a football player. 24 years football player. 30-some years involved in football. Since I was 8 years old, I'm 47 right now. 39 years of football knowledge. I've been watching college football from back in the day till now. I watch a ton of it. I've been watching NFL football. I've been watching UFL, CFL, ELF. All this, man. All absorbent. I'm a sponge. Okay? Football sponge. Just absorbing all of it I can. Student of the game. It helps me as a coach to see all these different things. It allows me to have a lot of different approaches to the game. I can talk about that. I don't want to share a lot of schematic things this time of year. We're going to start playing people next Friday. So I don't want to be sharing all my stuff in here and have people, subscribe to steal our defensive stuff, honestly, or offensive stuff. But I'll do a lot of whatever you need me to do. If you want to see more football stuff, let me know. I got you. I'm just not going to share the good stuff. Sorry. But I'm going to talk about how AAC could upset some people and become that national playoff contender. But I don't see it this year. I think Tulane could do it with a new quarterback if he merges well. But who knows? All right. So remember, footballanalysis1.com. You can check out NFL news on there, articles about NFL. I post up on our Cincinnati Bengals. I got Shamar Stewart as recently being signed as my latest article there. I got a breakdown of Buffalo Bills season. Check that out. If enough people read that, I'll be doing one for the Cincinnati Bengals. My editor said we're not getting enough traction on that. So if we get more traction on that, I can do one for the Bengals and anyone else. Okay, I can break it down for anyone else. CFL's in full swing. Hamilton Tiger-Cats played tonight. Let's check that out. Okay, CFL News Hub right there too for about the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. Check it out. I got a pregame article about tonight's game. And then subscribe to the channel. Boop. And then like the channel. Boop. And that way you'll see more of our stuff. I'm making tons of content all the time. I'm starting school Thursday. I teach chemistry. Starting school Thursday, so I'll be making less content then. But it should be still, good stuff. Okay, it should be good stuff. If you're a hardcore football person, I saw someone make a video about Ohio going to the Sun Belt. That would be horrible, man. Quit doing that. We're going to ruin your recruiting base. Okay, all right, never mind. Sidetrack. Football analysis. This episode is now finished. College football previews. AAC. Soar the Eagle.